recording. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining here tonight. So I thought a lot about, this whole month has been such a huge month for us as a family. And there's so many details to this miracle. And I really feel that every single one of you are such a part of it, that it's not just a miracle that happened to us as a family, but I really felt, and you're going to see as I speak and I tell the story, how it was really the world's miracle. That's really how I felt. And this whole story started around the time of Purim, where the whole idea of saying the Megillah of Purim, of repeating and retelling the story, and we're going into the holiday of Pesach. And the whole story of Pesach also is to speak and to recount the miracle of coming out of Egypt. And I realized it's so important to really share miracle stories. Hashem created a miracle in the world, and it's so important for other people to hear these stories, to really believe that miracles are possible. Yesterday in shul, we actually made also a Sudat Hodaya, a Thanksgiving meal. And someone came over after me and he said to me, "Thank you so much for sharing your stories." Because, we read in the Torah these stories about Moses and his miracles, and about Abraham and his miracles, and the forefathers and the foremothers. And he's like, I can't always relate. It's like, this is like something of the past. But when you told your story, he said, it was like so meaningful because it made me realize how miracles are really relevant in our lives for regular people, you and me, and it made it such it was so impactful to him. So I realized the importance really of sharing a miracle story and thanking Hashem for miracles. So I really want to we're going to go into all the details, because you're going to see in the details of the story, we see the hand of Hashem, like just in an unbelievable way. So this whole story started on Rosh Chodesh Adar. Now, many of you are on who know, we all as a family had Corona. Okay, except for two of my kids, we all tested positive for Corona. We're all in quarantine. Now, my husband and my older son actually came out first. They came out on Rosh Chodesh Adar, which is the month of joy, the month of Simcha. And my husband was so excited. Wow, this is like an amazing day to come out. And he went to daven. We live very close to the resting place of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He went to daven there in the morning and was like, wow, feeling this elation. And it was right before Shabbos. Okay, so Shabbos is a really, busy time with cooking and preparing. So I'm preparing, and it's about 10 minutes before Shabbos. And I have a very big pot of chicken soup that I make every week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a really big pot of soup. And it's called a plata. So any one of you here who keeps Shabbos may know there's a special, you can't cook on Shabbos. So there's a special tray that I put on my stove that keeps the soup warm, keeps the food warm. So I'm looking all over, and it's like one of those really busy right before Shabbos moments, as it always is. And I couldn't find room on the counter. So I said quickly, and now this is the first time I've ever done this. I took the pot of soup and I put it on the floor for a second. And at the same time that week, I have a really good cover for this pot. Okay, it's a really good pot, an expensive pot with a really strong cover. That week, I couldn't find the cover for the pot. So I just took another flimsy cover that didn't really match the pot, and I put it on top of the pot. I turned my back for a moment to go get this plata and to put it onto the stovetop. And all of a sudden I hear a scream. I turn around, my 2-year-old daughter is inside the pot of soup. Literally, she's inside the pot of soup. Like her bottom is sitting in the pot of soup, and she's wearing clothing. And all of a sudden I'm watching in split seconds, it's the hot soup is just going all up her clothing. So her whole body at that moment is covered with this chicken soup, and she's screaming, I'm screaming. I pick her up out of the pot. I rip off her clothes, and I see right away her skin is blistering and
God.
bright red. I mean, I knew this was like serious. Now, I had the frame of mind to tell my husband, I gave her to my husband, and I said to him, I'm going to call, there's a friend in America who is a burn expert. So right away, I knew that there are ways to treat a burn. I knew right away not to put her in a cold shower. I knew this, that it's the worst thing you could do for a burn. And instead, I called up this friend in America and she said to me, I would tell you to grate potatoes. Grating potatoes, this is a really important burn education, is actually the best thing you could do for a burn, is to grate potatoes. But she said, it's such a large area from what it sounds like. Don't grate potatoes. She said, just take honey and put honey all over her. So I did that right away. I just took honey. I took a jar of honey and I put honey all over her. And we called Hatzalah. We called the ambulance. They come and they put her in the shower. And I'm telling her, don't put her in the shower. But they didn't understand. They're like, whatever. They put her in the shower. And right away I said to them, they actually asked, I think they said, is anyone here of Corona? I said, yes, actually we all have Corona. My baby has Corona. This 2-year-old daughter has Corona. No symptoms at the time, but she's positive for Corona. But my husband just came out today from quarantine. So they whisk off my baby. They tell my husband, you're the only one that can come. So they take him and they go in an ambulance and they go to the hospital. In Sfat, there's a hospital. Now I light Shabbat candles and I said to and the hospital is actually walking distance to my home. So I told my older son, who also came out of quarantine that day, I said to him, go and bring, I sent clothes and food and I wanted to see how she was doing. So he goes there, he walks there and he comes back and he tells me she's not anymore in Sfat. She was transferred to Rambam Hospital in Haifa. So I knew right away that it was serious because they don't transfer a child out of that hospital to a major hospital unless this is a serious situation. Now it's Shabbos, okay? Now Shabbos means that we don't answer the phone, we don't call on the phone, and I just had to sit there a whole day not knowing what was happening. Now, it's Rosh Chodesh Adar. Now I have to tell you, that was the biggest gift to me that it was Rosh Chodesh Adar because I was in this framework, like the whole day we were talking about the idea of joy and the idea of simcha. And I said to myself, this is a real test. It's Shabbos. I don't know how she's doing. I know she was transferred to another hospital, so it's serious, but I have to be in a frame of mind of joy. Now we're sitting there and every so moment I'm welling up, I'm crying and all my kids are home, but I'm really trying to pull it together hard, but it was not easy. It was a big test from Hashem. And I zoned in and I zoned out and I was up at night saying Tehillim. Anyway, after Shabbos comes, my husband calls and he says that we're in the ICU, we're in the intensive care unit in Rambam. And they said that it's serious. The burns were about on almost 40% of her body. But thank God they said majority of them are actually 2nd degree. There are some 3rd degree, but hopefully she'll be home in a few days. Okay, so I had a sense of relief. Now again, I have Corona, so I'm stuck at home. In Israel, there is no way they will let you out of your home with Corona. There's no way. So I was stuck at home. Now Sunday comes, I'm home, and my husband tells me, her fever's high, but that's okay, it's normal. Monday comes, and her fever is getting higher and higher, and he tells me that she's hooked up to all the monitors, she's in the ICU, and all of a sudden things started looking not so good. Her heart rate was going down, her blood pressure was going down, her breathing was going up, her pulse ox, things were just not looking stable. And we were on video call and I saw she was like, I want to go to sleep, and she wasn't acting herself, and I didn't have a good feeling inside the whole day. That night, it was about 5 o'clock at night, and I'm on the phone, and all of a sudden I hear a lot of ruckus in the room in the ICU. And when you hear a lot of ruckus in an ICU room, it's not good. And my husband's like I hear he's trying to compose himself, but he tells me, Mary, I'm like, things are not good. They're putting her on a respirator. It's not looking good. Like her heart rate, basically what happened was she went into septic shock, into sepsis, and everything was shutting down. And they realized the day after she had pneumonia. May have been induced by the COVID. They're not sure. That she had also an infection. That fluid was building up under her stomach that may have leaked into her lungs and caused the pneumonia. Anyway, I hear the doctors on the phone saying this is a very critical situation. They put her on the respirator. Now that night was Monday night. Now, many of you were on, I had a women's circle that night. that again, this was the biggest gift from Hashem, because that women's circle was supposed to be on Rosh Chodesh, which was the Thursday night before. But I had COVID, I wasn't feeling well. So I postponed this women's circle to just that night. Now, at 5 o'clock at night, I get this call that my daughter's going on the respirator. And 8:30 at night, that night, the women's circle is supposed to happen. Now, I have to tell you, Hashem gave me the biggest gift, and that is really all of you that were on that women's circle, because you gave me so much strength and so much hope and so much encouragement to get through this. Like, you don't even know how much all of you gave me in that circle. You don't even, when you're on there, you're thinking, you're listening, you're like, wow, maybe you're inspired by the thought, by the learning, but you all gave me so much strength in taking on good deeds and prayers and doing good deeds in her merit, that it was so special and so meaningful for me. And I realized what a gift of Hashem that He gave me that moment. So that night I came off and I was like, I had a lot of support from all of you. But before I went to sleep at night, and again, I'm alone, my husband's away, and it was a really challenging situation. Now I said to myself, I want to write a letter to the Rebbe. So many of you, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with this idea, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe has, there's a compilation of a lot of letters that he had written, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of letters that people wrote to him, and he would correspond with them. And there's an idea that nowadays, the way we can connect to a tzaddik, to a righteous person, even after they pass away, is through writing a letter. Now, this is something that I feel very, very connected to. The Lubavitcher Rebbe is my mentor, my teacher, really my mentor and my guide. And when I need support and I need chizuk and I need guidance, a lot of times I'll write a letter. So I said to myself, I can't even fall asleep at night. I know this situation is not good. I'm going to write a letter to the Rebbe. So I write a letter and I get an answer. And the answer is, it's hard for me to say this, I'm sorry about the loss of your child. This is what the letter says. I read one line. All I read was this one line. I'm sorry about the loss of your child. I closed the letter. I said, I can't even continue reading it. I go into bed that night. Like literally, I remember feeling my legs were shaking. My knees were shaking. I couldn't even sleep. I just stayed up all night saying Tehillim. In the wee hours of the morning, I really felt like I got some hope. There was some hope that came on. Okay. Now, I want to pause. I realized that I forgot another very important part of this story, and then I'm going to back up to this, okay? Because it's another really important part of this story, is that Motzei Shabbos, right after Shabbos, I get a call. My phone is ringing a lot, okay? Now, I get a call from someone there's a Torah scroll in our family. There's a family Torah scroll from my husband that's been used by various shuls, by various synagogues in the community. That Shabbos, they called to tell me that Shabbos is Parshas Mishpatim. They're reading the Torah scroll. As they're reading the Torah scroll, they get to the end of Parsha Mishpatim. What happens? Two parchments of this Torah scroll are gone. Parshas Mishpatim, half of Parshas Mishpatim is missing from the Torah scroll. Okay? The week that this accident happened, which is 10 minutes before Shabbos, this accident happened, and this Shabbos, the Torah scroll that my husband's family has, it's been in the family for many, many, many years, part of it is missing. Okay? Now, right away, I spoke to my husband. We're like, there's a big connection going on here, right? And right away, I said to myself, like, we got to fix this Torah scroll. So we start working on this Torah scroll. Now, at the same time, this lady, she tells me, this lady who's the head of has this shul, she sends me also a video of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. She said, watch this video, because this is an identical story to what happened to you, okay? The story was that there was a child who fell into a pot of hot water. the parent, it was way back when, before there was actually washing machines, that the parents had boiled a pot of hot water to wash their clothes, and this kid fell into the pot of hot water. And again, it was a terrible situation. She was in the hospital for months and months, and the doctor said, I don't think she's gonna make it. And the Rebbe said to them right away, make a kiddush, celebrate her recovery, make a kiddush and celebrate her recovery. Get in the headspace that even though the doctors are saying this is a terrible prognosis, there's no way that she's gonna make it. And they said, even if she does make it, there's no way she's gonna be normal, there's no way she's gonna be walking, there's no way she's gonna be a functioning human being. The Rebbe said, make a kiddush and celebrate the fact that she's already healthy. So what do I tell my husband? We're gonna make a kiddush, okay? We're gonna make a kiddush and we're gonna celebrate. So the next Shabbos, I told the head of this shul, I said to her, we're gonna make a kiddush. Prepare, this kiddush is gonna happen. Okay, and we're ready right away. We gave her money. We said we're going to make a kiddush next week. You prepare it. We're going to make a kiddush already. So what this did to me now, that what's the connection with this and this story, that this letter that I got, when I got this letter saying, I'm sorry about the loss of your child, literally at first my heart fell out of my chest. But I started thinking and realizing that this was really a test from Hashem. And what I have to do is I have to literally get into this positive
Bueno, yo necesito esto como llevarlo allá.
mind. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going to mute everything. Oh, okay. But right away, I had this glimmer of hope in the wee hours of the morning of saying to Tehillim that I have to get out of my headspace and get into a positive frame of mind and think that it's going to be good, that the miracle is going to happen. Now, the next day, I speak to my husband, and he tells me, Miriam, I just got a message from someone that told me to learn a certain sicha, a certain teaching of the Lubavitcher Rebbe on bitachon and emunah, on trust and faith in Hashem. He says to me, right away, I want you to learn this with my older son. So my older son was home, and I sat down with him and I learned this sicha on bitachon. Now I have to tell you, this sicha, this teaching on trust and faith in Hashem, on bitachon, literally changed my life. Now I really would love one day to come on and teach this, because I feel like it's such a vital teaching that literally is the basis of life and is so important to understand. But in a nutshell, what it was saying is that, you know, I realized when this happened that there's so many slogans that I've learned in my life and so many teachings that I've learned. But this was the test of my life to say, okay, you've learned all these ideas of think good and it'll be good. Through bitachon, through enough trust and faith in Hashem, we can change the mazel of a situation. This idea of it's Adar, it's the month of Adar, the month of joy, and it says through joy, simcha poretz geder, through joy we can break through obstacles. Like, you learned all this stuff, Miriam, right? But now is the test of your life. And what this sicha was talking about was saying this idea, what is the idea of think good and it'll be good? Is that if a person is in any sort of situation, and the situation could look terrible, like the situation that we were in, where the doctors were saying, this is a really bad situation. Your daughter's life, your daughter's in a very critical situation. This does not look good. I mean, doctors are brutally honest. The doctors were telling us she's in a very critical situation, and it really does not look good. It doesn't look good. They said to us, we're not God. And I was very amazed at them. They're like, we're not God, and God can do any miracle, but you need a miracle here. This is not a good situation. And the Rebbe in the Sicha says that if we really, really, really believe that think good and it will be good, then Hashem, what Hashem does is that when we enter this space of such calmness, because we know that already the good happened, already the miracle happened, that Hashem responds to us. And then we open up channels for miracles in our life. And I realized after I started learning this idea that through bitachon, through trust and faith in Hashem, we have the ability to change the mazel of any situation that we're in. And it hit me in such a deep place that if I have enough bitachon, if I'm going to really get into this headspace, that think good and it'll be good, that the good already happened, that she's already healed and she's already cured, and literally to envision in my mind her home in her house, playing with the kids, back to herself, back in school, like the miracle happened already, then I can have the ability to change the mazel of the situation. Now, I want to say that I literally felt the whole week that I was walking, you could say, on a tightrope. I literally, this is the only way to describe it, that I felt that I was walking on a tightrope, that at any moment, like if I would veer off of the tightrope, literally, I felt this was the feeling I had, that her life was in danger, that my bitachon, my trust and faith in Hashem had to be so strong because her life was dependent on it. Like this was this letter that I got. And I realized that this letter was actually such, almost like a gift that the Rebbe was giving me, because I needed this. Like I needed, as much as I've been teaching these concepts and I've been learning these concepts for all these years, like I realized that this was the test of my life, that it wasn't about knowing it intellectually, but I had to literally zap it, like get it into what we say in Yiddish, into your kishtas, into your consciousness, into your essence of your being, and really live it. So I told my husband, I was very hesitant, should I tell my husband about this letter? Because my husband is with her, right? I'm at home, but he's with her. And I really was like, I don't know if I should share it, but the next day I spoke to him and I said to him, and he says to me, Miriam, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Like he was already in this bitachon space that I wasn't there. He says to me that I got an amazing letter from the Rebbe. He also wrote a letter, and he got a letter back that I want you to, that he said that you're going to see double miracles. It was a letter from Hanukkah saying that you're going to see nisim, the clapping nisim. You're going to see miracles and you're going to see double miracles. And I said to him, great, it's amazing that you got a great letter because I got an awful letter, like I got a terrible letter. But I realized what it was. Like I realized this sense that yes, maybe he was holding by this bitachon, but I wasn't. And I needed to literally, bitachon comes from the same words as tiach, which is cement. Like I needed to cement this message in my head that through bitachon, I can change the mazel. And bitachon is this space of the good happened already. The good is there. The miracle, the healing happened. She's well, she's better. And I kept on visualizing her cured, healthy, back at home, playing. So fast forward again, I have corona. I am not allowed to go visit her. Now, another miracle of this story is that when she was on the respirator, I said to myself, like, this is crazy. I can't go visit my child. This is really a little bit much. A baby needs her mother. She needs her mother. So I called up the doctors. I spoke to every doctor. They're like, I don't see how I could work this out. I called up my brother-in-law, who happens to be a very well-connected person. And he happened to have worked a few years ago for an organization called Ezer Mitzion, which is an incredible organization that helps people going through medical crises. Now, there was a woman from Ezer Mitzion that literally worked from morning till night. She called the head of the Misrad HaBriyut here, which is the health ministry. She called the head of the Rambam hospital. She called the head of the coronavirus ward. She called every single person that she could to try to get me permission. Now, she started at 8 o'clock at night. At 7 o'clock at night, she calls me. She's like, I don't want to disappoint you, but I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think it's going to work out. An hour later, she calls me up saying, I don't even know how, but I just got approval for you to go. Okay. This is at 8 o'clock at night. At 8:15, I get a call from my husband. Again, another one of these calls where he's on the phone and I hear a lot of ruckus in the room. And I hear the doctor saying again, it's a very critical situation. She was on the respirator, but things weren't stable. Her heart rate was going down and it wasn't a stable situation. He's like, just daven and daven. And as I'm waiting for the ambulance to come, I'm like, we've davened, we've done everything. What are we going to do? Like, what more could I do at this point? And it hits me, like really gets into my essence, this idea that it's Adar, or a week before Purim. And what does it say? Simcha poretz geder. That through simcha, through joy, we can bust through obstacles. And I put on Facebook, I went on Facebook and I said, dance for the merit of the recovery of my daughter. Dance for the merit of the recovery of Chaya Sarah Bracha Bas Miriam Shifra. And we start, and I'm getting videos and calls from people all over the world, videoing me about Zoom dance parties, and people are videoing me videos of them dancing in the merit of her recovery. It was like the most incredible thing, the amount of people from all over the world that literally were dancing for her recovery. Anyway, I get into the ambulance. The ambulance comes an hour later, about 9 o'clock at night. The ambulance pulls up. I put on this garb, the whole Corona outfit. I get to the Rambam hospital. Now, literally when I arrived there was an entourage. It was as if I was like the president of Israel that just arrived in the hospital, with walkie-talkies all over. They had the amount of planning that had gone into me coming to this hospital and going to visit my daughter was incredible. They told me you have an hour to go and visit her. So I went in there for that hour. Now, the whole time that I'm in the ambulance, again, I'm in this mode of bitachon. If I have enough trust and I have enough bitachon in Hashem, I'm going to be able to change the mazel of a situation. I have to again, I felt like I was on this tightrope. So I walked into the ICU, and she's hooked up to like 1 million tubes and 1 million medications are going through her. And I said to myself, I have to get into this headspace of not even seeing them. Like I have to literally walk in there and like just see her healthy, envision her coming home. And I told her about the Purim costume that we had for her. And we sang to her songs from her Gan. And the one hardest thing for me, I'm going to cry welling up, because the hardest thing for me was this idea that I'm like, I have to go and I have to learn about bitachon, but my daughter has to go through this because I have to learn a message about bitachon. That was the hardest thing for me, going through this. I'm like, that's not fair. You know, my 2-year-old has to be suffering with all this pain and be on a respirator because I have to learn about bitachon. So I apologized to her. I asked her for forgiveness. And, I told her, I'm like, you're such a special soul. You're such a special neshama that you're bringing the world together. Literally, the entire world is coming together. And the world needs this. I felt this as I told her, Mashiach is coming. Mashiach has to come. And because Mashiach has to come, the world needs unity. The world needs to come together. And in your merit, what a special neshama that you are, that you're bringing the world together in doing mitzvos and good deeds in your honor. And we sang to her, my husband and I, and we gave her a blessing, Berachas Kohanim, and I was there for this hour. And after an hour, the coronavirus guards, they knocked on the door and they escorted me out. But it was a miraculous visit that I still feel I have to thank Hashem that I had that experience, because it was a miracle. Like I was in denial. When it happened, when my daughter went on the respirator, I told my friends, pick me up, bring me to the hospital. Like, what's the big deal? She has corona. I have corona. Okay, I'm going to a coronavirus ward. Like, I didn't understand the obstacle that was in front of me to get there. And it literally was a miracle. It was a miracle. Now, another aspect to this, again, with adding, I want to finish up this Torah scroll, because this Torah scroll story is just such an unbelievable story. When a person is the night that she went on the respirator, my husband decided we're going to add a name to her. He felt like we should add a name. It's an idea that when you add a name to a person, you can change their mazel. So her name was Sarah Bracha, and we added the name Chaya Sarah Bracha to her. Now, when you add a name, there's a certain prayer that you're supposed to say when you add a name to a person. Now, the prayer that you're supposed to say when you add a person is the prayer that's found in the parsha, the part of the parsha that was missing from the Torah scroll. In parsha, the prayer that we say, again, it's like, it boggles my mind. The prayer that you say when you add the name is from Parshas Mishpatim, where it says in this parsha that no parent should ever experience the loss of a child before their time. And those verses are found in the Parsha of Mishpatim, in the portion of Mishpatim that was actually missing from the Torah scroll. Again, it's like, I have no understanding. I have no recollection. Like, I feel like this is one of these stories with this Torah scroll. It's something that after 120, we'll understand the full gamut of what this Torah scroll was about. But I know when it happened, we called up, this Torah scroll was actually written in Iran, but it was brought to Israel and it was checked over by one of the major companies in Israel, Safra's companies, who actually checks over Torah scrolls. And when we told them what happened, that there was 2 parchments that were missing, they were shocked. They said they've never heard of this in their life. They couldn't even understand what that meant because the Torah scroll was checked over by very reputable sofrim. They had no idea what this could have meant. So I don't know what this meant. And I feel like only it's going to be after 120 that we're going to understand the full picture of what this whole Torah scroll meant. But I was thinking about it a lot. Like, what is the idea of a Torah? A Torah is Hashem's essence, Hashem's will, his wisdom, his essence is tied up in a Torah. And the Torah is milashon hora'ah. It's to teach, the idea of teaching. And I felt so deeply that this story with which what happened to my daughter was literally there to teach the world so much. There was something so deep in this story that I feel like was there to just literally teach the world so much about unity, about faith, about think good, it'll be good, about bitachon, that there was something so deep in it that, again, I don't understand the full gamut of this Torah, but there's definitely something very deeply connected to this Torah scroll, to the extent that this happened, again, it was right around the holiday of Purim. So all the Sofrim who actually write a Torah scroll were so busy writing Megillas that time that they didn't even have time to to really write the Torah scroll, to fix the Torah. The day that they actually started fixing the Torah, when did they actually start fixing the Torah? Was the day that she left the hospital. The day she left the hospital, we got a call from the sofer saying that today we actually started writing the Torah. Again, I don't know. I don't understand up in Shamayim, up in heavens, what this meant, but there was something so deeply connected to this Torah scroll and this whole story with, again, I don't know. And it's something I think after 120, we're going to understand. But we see, there's an idea so much that of checking your mezuzahs and checking part of tefillin is a very big thing that every year, at least once a year, we should check our tefillin and check our mezuzahs. But I've never heard of checking a Torah scroll. But we see so much the power of the letters, of every detail within a Torah, every detail within a mezuzah, every detail of tefillin are so vital in physical health and spiritual health. And it taught me so much. And actually one of our mezuzahs were actually also not kosher. We got to check them. They were also not kosher. So, okay, I want to say that again, like this whole idea of bitachon, changing our mazel, and this whole idea of having joy, being able to break through barriers, these again were concepts, but when I was put to the test in living them, it was like a whole nother level within me. Now I ask myself sometimes, like, where did I get the strength to do this? Like, where did I get the strength to make this switch within me? And I thought a lot about it. It was really definitely a gift from Hashem, 100% a gift from Hashem, and definitely a gift from the Rebbe, who's my mentor and my guide. But I also really want to say that I really felt so deeply that this was a gift from the unity of every single one of you. Again, I don't feel this was a miracle that happened to us, that happened to me, that happened to my family. This was a miracle from every single one of you. The only way I can describe is that I felt literally the entire time that I had like doulas, literally like doulas, holding my hand, walking me through, literally carrying me through. And I'm so grateful to every single one of you who really brought this miracle about, because I that's what I felt. I literally felt this connection that we all have, this deep connection that we all have. And I really felt that this wasn't just a miracle that happened to us, but again, it was a miracle that really all of you are really holding on to this miracle. And that's why I felt like it's so important to express, to talk about this miracle, because it's not just our miracle. And what I felt so deeply how we have to also really understand this idea that we are, all of us have abilities and capabilities to bring down miracles in our lives. All of us, when we really tap into this idea of bitachon and tap into this idea that the good already happened, we have the ability literally to bring miracles into our life. Like, I really see it today as like, there's really like a formula that Hashem gave us that through bitachon we can change our mazel. Think good. It's called, there's a saying in Yiddish, trach good or zayin good. Think good and it will be good. And to me, again, this was always like a slogan and always a saying, but we, all of us, have the ability to be co-creators with Hashem and to bring down miracles. We're in now the month of Nisan, which is the holiday of redemption, the holiday of, and this is the month, Nisan is the month of miracles, Nisan from the word nes, of miracles. And all of us have to know that we have so much power. I really felt the power within us, the power of our godly soul to literally bring down miracles within our lives. And again, we're in the month, we're right before Pesach, which is the holiday of redemption. And it's this time of spring, the time of renewal. And the secret really of renewal, as I see it, and I see it so deeply, not just from teaching this and not just from like intellectually, but from living it, is that literally the secret of our own personal redemption of every single one of us on this holiday, on Pesach. It's not about a story of coming out of Egypt, coming out of an Egypt that was, but every single one of us is coming out of our own personal redemption. This Pesach, every Pesach, we're coming out of our own personal Egypt. And how do we do that? We have to tap into this idea of every moment. It says Hashem mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, that every moment Hashem is literally renewing the world at every single moment. And you know, when you're in the ICU, I remember when I was in the ICU, there's this feeling of at every moment, there's this, that literally there was a child next to us that who was also on a respirator, and all of a sudden the bell started going off and his heart stopped. And this was an Arab woman. It was an Arab baby. And this mother was very clearly, she was wearing, you know, the whole garb, not someone that normally that we would be connected, right? Normally this is not someone that I would connect to, but when his heart stopped, I went over to her and I said to her, I'm going to pray for your child. And I opened up a Tehillim and I said, you pray in your language, I'm going to pray in my language, because we can bring down miracles. Look at my daughter. My daughter was in the same situation as your son, and literally we can bring down miracles together. And we stood there together and I prayed and she prayed, and thank God her son was fine. But I realized, you know, when you're in an ICU and you're in that situation, you realize this idea that Hashem is renewing the world at every moment. At every moment, I saw life and death right before my eyes. And we all have that ability to literally be co-creators with Hashem and to bring down miracles. And I really felt this story taught me not just this unity of us as a people and as a community, but also the connection and the humanity and this interconnection of the entire world. Now, in Rambam Hospital, majority of the nurses, 90% of the nurses were actually not Jewish, they were Arab. Now, I want to tell you, I had the honor of meeting some of the most righteous individuals of my entire life. One of them, now, when you're in this coronavirus ward, you're wearing this garb. I was there for an hour. It's not easy to breathe in this coronavirus outfit. So they had 3-hour shifts. one of the nurses, she stayed on for an extra hour and a half because she said to my husband, she's like, I want to make sure that when the doctors were changing the bandages, that he'd have help and that it was done by her because she felt that she knew how to really deal with it. And she stayed on for an extra hour and a half, not paid, to help my daughter. This was Najin, the Arab nurse, because she felt this sense of coming from her heart, of wanting, of caring so much, so deeply. And then my husband said to me, he's like, I wanted to just hug her. Another one of the nurses there, now they would bathe her every day, but one of the nurses said, you know what, I want to wash her hair. I'm not just going to bathe her body, I want to wash her hair because I want that when she comes out of this, off this respirator, that you should feel that your daughter's clean and beautiful. And I told her, I said, do you know what you just taught me? You taught me about bitachon. You taught me about trust and faith in Hashem. You taught me what that means, that think good and it will be good. The good already happened. What she was teaching me, this Arab nurse, was that the good already happened. She's already coming off the respirator and we're preparing for that. We're preparing for it. I'm cleaning you up. I'm making your hair beautiful because I'm preparing for that. So this interconnection, it's not just an interconnection of all of us, but it's an interconnection of the entire world. Like I really felt with this whole ordeal that the Hashem wants Mashiach. And Hashem sends very pure neshamas, very pure, beautiful souls to really bring together the entire world. The interconnection that I felt literally of the entire world coming together to bring down this miracle. And when we really step into our power, I really feel what it is that we, all of us, have to step into our power and our ability to really believe in the not just that miracles are possible, but they are available to every single one of us. Because we have a godly soul, all of us have the ability to tap into miracles in a way that we never thought was possible. And all of us, or it's possible for every single one of us. The script, there's a script that I realize that there really is a script to this. If we think good and it'll be good is not just a slogan, but it's the idea of literally envisioning within us when we're going through a difficulty, when we're going through a challenge, whatever we're going through. If a person needs to get married, they need a shidduch. A person is sick, they need health. A person is going through any sort of mental illness, mental challenges, whatever they may be going through, they literally have to envision themselves. It's already happened. The miracle already happened. This person is already married. Envision yourself in your wedding dress. Envision the flowers that you're going to have at your wedding. Envision the music that you're going to have at your wedding. If the person's sick, they have to envision themselves, envision the person healthy, envision the person walking and talking and fully back to themselves. And that literally has the ability to bring down miracles. And that's the idea that we're in the month right before Purim, right before Pesach. We're standing right before the holiday of Pesach, a few days before Pesach. Through Pesach, what's the idea of coming out of Egypt? Coming out of Egypt was a miracle that happened in the past, but each and every one of us now has the ability to bring down miracles in our lives. And it says, what's the idea of the month of Nisan and the month of, what's the idea of a nes? A nes is a banner, which is something that's up high, right? The idea of looking up high. And I really feel that miracle, what is the idea of Hashem sends us challenges? Hashem sends us challenges to raise us up. The idea of a banner is raise us up and bring us higher. And I really feel this sense within me. But again, within every single one of you that were part of this miracle, I really feel that you have to really, really realize that you were raised up together from this. Like I really felt that each and every one of you who are raising me up was also really raised up from this. We have to understand when we're part of bringing down a miracle, all of us are raised up from this. And all of us have to really, really believe that when we eat matzah, when we're coming into the holiday of Pesach, that Pesach is the time of redemption. And what do we do during this holiday? We eat matzah. What is the idea of matzah? Matzah is about ingesting emunah, ingesting faith. When we really partner with Hashem in the dark parts of our life, in the difficulties, in the challenges, but also in the good parts of our lives, and we really ingest this faith that miracles are not only possible, but miracles are available for every single one of us. It's not just me. This is not just my miracle. This was everyone's miracle, and every single one of us has abilities to bring down miracles in our lives through again, Michelle just asked me, I saw in the chat, how do we do this? Now, I really would like to discuss this more and more and more, but I think the real crux of it is getting into this bitachon headspace that the good already happened. Whatever challenge we're going through, we really have to think about this situation completely remedied, completely healed, completely fixed, completely cured, whatever it may be. And when we do that, then we start coming out of our own personal exiles, our own personal gullus. And when we ingest that faith, in order to do this, what's the idea of Pesach? Faith is not just something external. We're eating the matzah. We literally have to ingest this to make this part of our being. Then we can really step into our own personal redemption. Every single one of us, and all of us this year especially, have gone through so many challenges, so many difficulties, every single one of us in our lives. But when we all do this work of coming out of our own personal Egypts, our own personal exiles, then we can head into this time as a collective consciousness, and we really help to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe actually said that Mashiach is here. It's just about opening up our eyes. All of us really, we have to open up our eyes and realize that we can manifest Mashiach in our life. We can manifest miracles in our life. The time of Mashiach is a time of miracles. It's a time of miracles. We're going to see Hashem. We're going to be living with it. We're going to be breathing miracles. We're going to be seeing the veil is going to be removed. So we're going to be seeing the above nature hand of Hashem. But when every single one of us, when we realize that nowadays we have the ability to tap into that power, that the power within us is so incredible to bring down miracles, then this Pesach, we're all able to do that work of coming out of our own personal Egypts and really helping to bring the collective Mashiach in the world. It should really come down now. Now, I was thinking about, my name is Miriam. Now, I think is my mom on here? Mom, are you on here? Let me look down here at the participants. I hope you're on here. Mom, can you unmute yourself if you're on here? I don't know. I can't see. Anyway, I hope she's on here. But yeah, she's on here. She's on here. She's not unmuting herself. Okay. Now, my parents, when they named me, my name is Miriam Schiffer, which is the name of the Jewish midwives. Okay. Miriam, what is Miriam? Miriam means mar. It means bitter. But what does it also mean? Miriam also means to raise up. Now, this is the idea. When we go through difficult situations in our life that are bitter, that are difficult, right? When we really face them with bitachon and we work hard against our nature, whatever our nature may be, and we realize that the bitterness is just there to raise us up, and we can really see past and really tap into the deepest parts of bitachon and emunah through our challenges, then we literally are raised up. What did it say about Miriam? That she gave the women hope. When they were going into the exile, she told them all to bring in those tambourines into Mitzrayim as a sign already when they were in Egypt that they were going to come out of Egypt. And all of us, as we're going through our difficulties, we have to hold on to that hope that all of this is really there to raise us up. And literally, when we tap into this idea of miracles, that when we really believe in it, we can literally raise us up. And I feel like, again, all of us, it says in the merit of righteous when we were redeemed from Egypt, and in the merit of righteous when we're going to be redeemed in the future. And again, I feel that this power of unity, of us coming together, is literally what carried me through. But, a friend of mine was telling me, she's like, it's so a shame that we come together in times of darkness. We come whenever there's a difficulty, a challenge, a difficulty, we always come together, but we have to come together in times of light. And it really hit me. I said, you know what? That's the truth, right? Through women joining together, what does it say? That when the women came out of Mitzrayim, that the men were danced, and the women, they came together in this circle dance with their tambourines. Now, what is this idea of this circle consciousness? It's this idea that all of us is this unity. We have to come together, not only in times of darkness, we have to come together in times of light. And that's why I really want to, but before I say that, okay, I want to tell another miracle story within this whole thing. That just today, I was talking to my husband about this idea of like, we come together in times of darkness, but we have to come together in times of light. We're talking about this story as we're driving this morning to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Okay, we woke up this morning, I woke up a little late. I decided I wanted to go to the pool, which is right near the resting place of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I said, I want to go to the pool. I dropped my husband off at shul. And after I come back from the pool, I went and I picked him up and I said, I'm going to go daven there. My husband calls me up. He's like, Miriam, you got to come inside. You're not going to believe this. I come inside. Who is at Rabbi Shimon this today? When we were in the ICU, there was another lady next to us, a pregnant woman who was in her 30th week of pregnancy. She was hooked up to an ECMO machine, a heart and lung machine. They took her baby at 30 weeks. She was in a very difficult situation, very touch and go situation. They were today at Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doing a Sudas Hodah, celebrating the miracle that she came out of this. She came out of the hospital. Her baby's still in the hospital, but she came out. What is the chances that yesterday in shul, we did the Sudas Hodah to celebrate our miracle, and we come to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and there is this lady there who was our neighbor in the ICU who's there to celebrate her miracle. And I said to my husband, I'm like, Amichai, this is exactly this idea that Hashem is telling us, that we can gather together in the darkness, but we also have to gather together in the light. We have to gather together in celebrating the miracles that happen to us. And we have to gather together in the light and in the goodness, because the time of Mashiach, which is the time that we're coming to, is about goodness. And the world is going to be, it's not just about darkness, it's about light and more light and better and better and better and better. And this is really the message that I took from this, is that we have to step into this idea that we're so close to Mashiach. And I really, really feel with the essence of my being that Hashem sent this ordeal to the world. Now, I can't even tell you the amount of messages of people all over the world that were praying for her. And women that called me up, a woman called me up on a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock at night saying, I just made challah. And I said this special prayer for your daughter, for her recovery at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday night. I mean, people from all over the world, all of you on that women's circle who are praying and doing good deeds and merits, like the power of unity that is brought to the world from a difficult situation is so huge. And who knows what the world needs? The world needed this unity, but we have to also gather together in times of light. And that's why I really want to start an initiative called Women United to bring healing to the world, because the power of unity and the power of women, especially to unite together, like the women came out of Mitzrayim, and what do? We united, we gathered together in song and in dance, in hope, and with bitachon, with emunah, with really believing that we were going to come out of Egypt and celebrating that miracle that happened, that the power of unity of women is so great. So I have a lot of ideas for this initiative. Now I'll share two of them. One of them is that I want to really share every week. I want to go through a different idea, a different teaching. Again, I realized with this whole, when I went through this, that so much of our teaching could really, of learning and of learning Chassidus and learning Kabbalah could really just be intellectual. But I really want to bring short concepts of how we can live them, how we can really make them practical. I love that, Michelle, 2 thumbs up. Of how we can really make them practical in our lives. Because what is the time of Mashiach? We're going to be living Chassidus. We're going to be living these concepts of Kabbalah. We're going to be living it. It's going to be a full sensory, full body experience. It's not just going to be an intellectual thing. We're going to be living it. And, when I was put to the challenge on this test, it was like, okay, Miriam, you could learn these things, you could teach these things, but now it's about living it. And not just living it, you have to live it with the very essence of your being. So I want to create a platform and a forum where we go through every week a teaching. And I want to make this interactive of everyone's going to share something that they're taking from it and how they're living it. Okay. And we're going to gather together and we're going to discuss how are we living these concepts? And literally through living these concepts, we step into this Mashiach reality. We step into this reality of miracles. And I want to really, really hear from everyone, like, how are these concepts bringing miracles in our lives? Because they do. When we're really living concepts, not just in an intellectual way, but in an experiential way, we are really living. We can literally bring down miracles in our lives. And we're living in a whole different way. So that's one idea. If I want to start something on Facebook, on Instagram, and even on just a website, and we'll see a way of making this very interactive. Now, another thing that I want to do is that I realize the power of us uniting together to bring down miracles in our life. Now, Michelle had asked her, what's the script? So I really want to I really feel that there is a script, that there's ways that we can really come together and really hold space for each other in our difficulties, in our challenges, to manifest miracles in our lives. And as women, we can gather together in there's been an initiative before called doula gatherings, where people gather together and women gather together. Now, there was a lot of dancing, just like the idea of the women came out of Egypt and they were dancing. But I was thinking about it. Dancing is the idea of malchut. It's the idea of the feet, okay? But what's really the idea of dancing is a culmination of a whole process that happens. First, it has to start in our mind. We have to really, really understand intellectually and really understand these concepts in a very deep way. Once we really understand these concepts in a very deep way, how are they going to transfer to our heart? We have to really feel these concepts in our heart in a very, very real and palpable way. And only once we do that, then we can dance, then it can go into action, and then it can go down into our feet. So I feel like these geula gatherings, I really want to gather together in really all of us sharing, again, how we can live these concepts and holding space for each other to manifest miracles in our lives. I have a lot of ideas, and God willing, we're going to have one of these very, very soon. Hopefully after Passover will be our first one. But because I really, 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 I feel so strong in this power of unity, of gathering together that brought a miracle in our lives. And again, that was brought about by every single one of you. And all of us need miracles. All of us in our lives need healing. The world needs healing. And really the power of all of us coming together to do that is so, so, so strong. We can literally, we have to understand the strength that we have to manifest geula. All of us have so much strength to literally manifest geula. It's just about waking up and opening up our eyes and realizing the potential and the power that we have by having this godly soul that's connected all the way up spiritually to the world of Atzilus. We are powerful beings and we have to step into our power. That's really what it is. All of us have to step into our power. And as women, it says in the myriad of righteous women, we left Egypt, and the myriad of righteous women, we're going to be redeemed in the future. So that means as women, we hold space for bringing Mashiach. We hold space, and that means Mashiach collectively, but also personally in every single one of our lives, we hold space to bring Mashiach in a personal way and in a collective way. And we have to be there for each other like they were coming out of Egypt. with those tambourines, with this women. They were in this circle consciousness. It says that the women gathered together in a circle, which means every single one of us are equal. We're all equal in this circle. And all of us can gather together to help each other manifest miracles and to bring our personal redemption. So that's another big idea. There's a lot of other things, but those are two of them that I really want to initiate, because again, it's like the world, we're so close to Mashiach. We are so close. Like we're seeing it. And, you know, I really want to say, I don't know in around the world, but in Israel, you know, we're coming into Pesach, the time of renewal. The idea of Pesach is called, Passover is called the holiday of, it always comes out in the spring, the holiday of spring, Chag Aviv. You know, in Israel, there's such a palpable feeling in the air of renewal. Like for the first time in a year, we're going to celebrate Passover, not in a lockdown. Even though the economy was opened up, the numbers are declining. You know, and I was speaking to my husband about it. I said, you know, when we were going through COVID, I really felt that the world was in such a dark place that like Mashiach was going to come and was going to take us out. We were in such a dark place. But now I really feel that it's so much deeper than that, because Mashiach, again, is this idea of goodness and of light and of it's going to be, we're going to go from good to better, to better, to better. And I feel like this idea, like Israel, we're coming out of Corona. We feel this like total renewal. Like the economy opened up, the numbers are still going down. Thank God, Leah and her should just stay that way. And I feel like Mashiach, we're getting into this Mashiach energy of light, of goodness, of real renewal, of real goodness and real light. And it's like Mashiach is coming, and it's just going to be from a place of better to better to better to better. And really all of us, I want to again just thank every single one of you who really carried us along and really helped to bring about this miracle. And really all of us this Passover should just together really believe in our power to bring miracles in our lives and come out of our own personal exiles and our own personal stuff. And again, like I felt for me, it was like I had like Hashem just like sent me a very dark situation where I was just like put to the test to really come out of my own stuff. You know, it was like, you know, people say, oh, Miriam, you're so calm. Of course you could handle this. I'm like, no. Like, I know my own animals, so I know really like I needed a big push to get out of this. And but I really feel like all of us, all of you, like who were part of this miracle, really were like on the coattails of being like elevated, like this idea of Vanessa, of really coming up. And I really want to just thank you all and for being there. I want to just check the chat. I see someone, the idea of bringing Mashiach requires faith in our own ability to do this. Exactly. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Is that again, this idea of like we're coming out, we're going into Pesach, the Passover, which is the holiday of freedom, the holiday of redemption. And what do? We eat matzah, we ingest matzah. Because we have to have this emunah, we have to have this bread of faith in really believing that we have the ability to come out of our own personal Egypt, to bring Mashiach to our own life. And in doing that, we, each and every one of us, when we do that, when we really ingest that faith and really believe in the power that we have in ability to bring through and bring miracles in our life, then we bring Mashiach. We can really bring miracles in life and really bring our own personal redemption, and then we help usher in the collective redemption to the entire world. How can we strengthen ourselves other than through matzah? So what I really took from this whole ideal is this idea of bitachon, of faith, as again, constantly getting into this headspace of envisioning the good already happening. The idea of trach good or sein good, which is think good and it'll be good, is that all of us are going through our difficulties in our dark parts of our lives. And we have to really get into this space of seeing it remedied, seeing it cured, seeing the healing, seeing that miracle already happen. And when we do that, we literally have that ability to step into emunah, into faith, into bitachon, into true bitachon. And when we do that, we can manifest miracles in our lives. Literally can manifest miracles. You know, I want to tell you, a friend of mine, after I was speaking to her last, she was very inspired. So there's a number of women that she speaks to in America. And one of them, her husband, was very sick with cancer. And it was really very bad situation. And last week he was having a scan on Friday. So she gathered together a number of women on Zoom. She said it was like a 15-minute meeting. And they all got together in prayer for this man. And they all envisioned him healthy. They all envisioned him healthy and back at work and with his family, and literally envisioned him completely cured. Now, she called me up after Shabbos to tell me that she got a message from this lady that on Friday he had a scan, and they got the result that his scan was clear. He was cancer-free. It's a real formula. It's a real formula. I was talking to a lady this week who was in her mid-40s. She was married before, and she was really desperately wanting to get married. And so what did she do? She took Kabbalah classes. She took classes that someone takes before to prepare themselves to get married. Within a few months, she got married. It's like stepping into this headspace of bitachon, of the good already happened, and envisioning the miracle before us. The good already happened. She was already in her mind. She's preparing to get married. She took the Kabbalah classes, and the miracle happened. Would love to sing before kids get married. Exactly. Oh my God, it's so funny you're saying that, Davina, because I told my husband also, like, you know, I was like, we're all trying to prepare for Passover, and, you know, there's this script that I have in my head a lot about some kids, that this one's lazy, and this one doesn't like to help, and this one doesn't want to, and I realized that I have to just envision my kids helping, cooperative, and I have to tell you, the difference that it made in my home was huge, because my kids felt that I saw them from such a good place, from such a place of like, they were helpers. They were helpers. They were helping. They were doing their thing. And literally, it worked. Like when I got into this space of bitachon, of seeing the good already happen, it literally brings down miracles, and it brings down this deep sense of cooperation. I do that with Howard. I still sing her song every day. Beautiful. I'm just I want to unmute some of you now. I thank you so much. It's so overwhelming. I have to think all over what you said. It's really, I apologize. Thank you so much for being here, Dora. It meant so much to me. I remember you said to me like that night at the Women's Circle that you were doing something. I think it was like giving money to a soup pantry. I even remember that. Whatever it is, I want to thank you so much for that. It really was, again, it like carried me through. This unity just carried me through, really. So thank you so much.
And Miriam, it's Talianne.
Hi.
And I just want to share that in terms of, I did that with my husband. And on last week, he had his 5th year CT perfect scan for pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
So from the very beginning, and I could talk about miracles, the first 10 days, there were miracles coming every day. So when you wrote, I could write a book, it's almost like Hashem, this happened, but then Hashem said, look for the miracle. I felt like he was saying, look for the miracles. And the miracles were there.
Girls, stand up.
That's it.
So,
it's really that is it. It's like what you said. It's like that. This is what was like the crux of what I'm sorry, I'm just going to mute everyone. Is stepping into that idea that like the good already happened. And when we do that, you know, in this, I want to teach this sikha that I learned, because what it was saying there also is that we have to enter a state of such menuchas hanefesh, of calmness, of really believing that the miracle happened, and we're so calm because we're so confident that it's good, the good already happened, that we literally have the ability to bring down above nature miracles. But you know, this is the idea also of coming out of Egypt, what happens is that there's this Kriyas Yamsuf, the splitting of the sea. Now, all of us, what happened with the splitting of the sea? It said that Nachshon ben Aminadav, that he had to take the first plunge and the sea split. So, like, I feel like with miracles, we think that, like, there's a sense that Hashem wants us to be co-creators with him. Hashem wants us to partner with him. And that's the idea of Nisan. I think in the women's circle, we spoke about this, that Nisan, the month of Nisan, the body part of Nisan is the right leg. The idea of netzach, of being proactive. And I realized with bitachon is that when we literally get into that headspace of believing that the good already happened and being proactive, like what this person was saying, she bought this, she took the Kabbalah classes, she took these classes for the person that gets married. Like for my daughter, we prepared her Purim costume. I said, she's going to be home by Purim. We're preparing your Purim costume. It's like, it has to be so real. Just like Nachshon ben Aminadav, you had to take that plunge, you had to take that jump in order to open up those waters, in order to bring down the miracles. So there's so much to say about this. And I really feel like this is just like what I really want to, like, within this Women United to bring healing to the world, this is going to be, I really want to bring down these teachings because they are so crucial. And I really feel it's like the crux of life. It's really the crux of life, the crux of, again, the holiday of Passover, of coming out of our own personal Egypts, and every single one of us. There's so much darkness in the world. This year has been such a challenging year for every single one of us. We were forced to, like, almost like face our dark side this year, you know? But again, it comes through bitachon. Like at the end of days, when we really, really, really work on manifesting bitachon, again, coming out of Egypt, what is this idea of matzah, of ingesting faith, and realizing the power that we have in being co-creators with Hashem. Like Hashem wants us to be partners with him. Hashem wants us to make a dira b'tachtonim, a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. And through that, we can partner with him through doing our part. We can literally open up the doors to above nature miracles in our life. And that's the month of Nisan, the holiday of Passover that we're coming through. And all of us should literally see miracles, open miracles in all of our lives, and just connect to each other only in goodness. Really, we should see revealed blessings and only goodness and light and more light and more light. And literally Mashiach we should just really all be joining together again, like the circle of women, all of us together in the Beis Hamikdash. I can't wait. We're gonna have a special place for all of us here, like a special corner. And it should just be immediately. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining. And I'm really looking forward to our first Geula gathering right after Passover. I'm really, really, really excited. Anyone else have any other questions or thought or comments? Like, so much here.
This is very inspiring for me personally, so thank you. Thank
you, Shannon. Thank you. Yeah, it's like, it's a real thing, you know, it's like, and when you live through it and you go through it, it's like, I'm telling you, I'm so humbled. Like today, the whole day, I was just like, the fact that today, like this whole story came full circle, and meeting this woman who was next door to us in the ICU, in the intensive care, on this ECMO. I remember peeking into the room and seeing this woman, that Hashem is so kind in letting us see the full circle of things. It's so humbling. Like the whole day, I was just choking up in tears. I feel so humbled by the kindness of Hashem. I feel so showered by love and this embrace of Hashem, to even have seen this today, to become the full circle of his goodness and his kindness, of bringing light and goodness, and more, like it's just from layer upon layer upon layer. It's just so humbling to me, just so humbling, really. I just really want to thank Hashem, really, just thank Hashem. That's it. It's just thanking Hashem at every moment, you know. And it says, like, you know, I was thinking about it, like, it's so easy to forget, you know, the nature of who we are is we forget. We go through these miracles, and I'm like, Hashem, I never want to forget. I just don't want to forget. You know, and like one day I woke up and I was like just in this bad mood over such silliness. And I consciously remembered this vision of seeing my daughter in the respirator, like that, her face right before my eyes, because I said, I don't want to ever forget the miracle. Like to keep that vision in front of me a little bit, because we could get so caught up in our everyday where we could forget. You know, and it says, I was thinking about it, says, David HaMelech, King David says in Tehillim, Chatati lenegdi tamed, that my sins are always before me. And it's kind of really like that idea, because we, by nature, all of us, every single one of you, we've all gone through miracles, all of us. And it's so important to hold on to these miracles. Like Tali just shared a miracle that she went through. I've been through a miracle. Every single one of you has gone through miracles. We all have. And if we don't know that we've gone through miracles, we have to just think back, because every day, the fact that we're here, that we're breathing, that we're healthy, every single day is a miracle. But all of us, I'm sure, have gone through revealed miracles in our lives, and we have to hold on to them, because it's so easy to forget. The nature of a human is we forget. And I said to myself, like, Hashem, I never want to forget your kindness, your goodness. Like, and I literally, when I get overwhelmed, I try to envision her face before me on this respirator, because I'm like, I can't forget this. I can't forget the miracle, the tremendous miracle that happened to us. And just to thank Hashem all the time for the goodness, constantly thanking Hashem for the goodness that happened. And there's so many layers to this miracle. I mean, another layer to this miracle I want to share with you is that we live in Tzfat. And when you live in Tzfat, there's not many things in Tzfat. Like you go out at Tzfat to buy clothing, to buy a lot of basic needs are not in Tzfat. Like Tzfat is the place for spirituality. Now, it happens to be that, and I didn't even share this idea, that after 2.5 weeks in the hospital, we were not seeing any improvement with the burn. Unfortunately, in hospitals, they really do not know how to treat burns. They know how to prevent infection, but they don't know how to build skin with burns. So we decided that we're leaving, and we spoke to this lady from Tzfat, she treats burns naturally. She has a natural cream, all natural ingredients that people from all over the world she's in contact with. People literally, I spoke to another person who lives in Jerusalem. She said she moved here for a month when her child was seriously burned to be treated by this woman, because she has this natural burn treatment. Now, my daughter was 2.5 weeks in the hospital. We did not see any improvement. She came home. Yesterday was the last day that we went to see her, because all of her burns are gone. Like they're fully closed. In 2 weeks, we saw so much improvement. Now I said to her, I'm like, is this normal improvement? Like, is this natural? She's like, I want you to know that the improvement that we saw with her, the speed of her recovery was not normal. It was not a natural thing. And I said to her, like, the amount of people that have been praying and the good deeds, every single one of you have to know that your prayers and your good deeds literally brought a miraculous recovery. Literally brought a miraculous recovery. She said it's not normal, the speed in which she healed. Now, the other part of this miracle, though, is that she lives right here in Tzfat. Like, all of the people from all over the world come to see her from all over Israel. She does Zoom calls with people, and she instructs them how to treat the wounds. But we had like this idea that Hashem, it says, Makdim l'refuah lamaka, that he creates the cure before the illness. And a miracle that she was right here, literally in walking distance from my home, was another one. I'm like, thank you, Hashem. I just keep on thanking Hashem for that miracle, because it was such a gift. Like, we would drive over there, a few minute drive, and she was there. It was just incredible. There's just like so many layers to this story, to this Torah scroll, which again is like a whole thing. And another thing, yesterday we had this Sudas Hoda. We had this in shul. We had a whole kiddush thanking Hashem for the miracle that happened. Now, someone pointed out to me, there's a teaching called Hayom Yom, where every single day there's a short idea of learning for the day. Now, yesterday's Hayom Yom, in it, was speaking about this idea of adding a name, that if a person is sick and a person's not well, there's an idea of adding a name. Now, this teaching could have been on any other day, but it specifically happened yesterday, on the day that she had this kiddush, to thank Hashem for the miracle that happened. And we added a name to her. Her name became Chaya Sarah Bracha. So again, like the amount of miracles and the story of what we call hashgacha pratis, of divine providence with this story, is just unbelievable. It's overwhelming. It's humbling to me. I feel just so overwhelmed by it. And I feel like I have to share it. Again, the idea of Passover is recounting miracles that we came out of Egypt. And I really feel this is like a miraculous story that just needs to be recounted, because I know I got like so much strength, and I feel like every single one of you who is part of it, you're all part of the miracle. It's not my miracle. So it's important that you even know all the details of the miracle that you brought down. Thank you, Mary, as the Jewish nation, for opening the heavens to allow Hashem's love and truth and power to come down to the world, and teaching each of us a true blessing to be connected to you and to everyone here. Wow. Thank you, Tammy. And Tammy, you're such an inspiration. Like Tammy's big thing. Anyone who knows Tammy is that Hashem, Tammy, what's always your quote? Now it's like slipping me. Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tam, that Hashem is always in front of me. That's like Tammy's living slogan. Always. Like, and it's just such an inspiration. You're always such an inspiration. I always think about this idea that like Tammy shares, like every single time we ever always speak, this is like just her motto of life. And you've inspired me so much. So thank you so much for that. Really, thank you. So thank you everyone for being on. Everyone should have a beautiful, beautiful holiday of Passover, of coming out of our own personal Egypts and our collective Egypt. And every single one of you should step into your power of literally the ability to bring down miracles. We have to really believe in the power that we have. Whatever we're going through in our life, we have the ability to know that a miracle is possible. Miracles happen. A miracle can happen. We just have to like literally cement this in our head that we have the ability to bring it down. Think about the good already. It's good already. The miracle happened, and we can channel down miracles in our lives. That's the bottom line here. So thank you for joining, everyone. Have a beautiful holiday, beautiful Passover, and good revealed blessings and revealed miracles for everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Miriam. Chatzlacha.
Okay.
Chag Hashem Pesach.
You too, Tali. Thank you.